Hello, and welcome to the Labyrinth of Limitations. This is another little labyrinth where we're looking at dyads and forming two-voice counterpoint using them. So two melodies independent of each other, or two voices moving. Okay, so we've talked about thirds, right? And then six, right? And then the fifths that connect them, right? And then when you get to the sixth, what goes out from the sixth is the octave, of course, and then you go to the 10th. And I like surrounding with these two, right? I said, right, those are pretty. So moving out from those, though, we have to move out, so we have to go. So what did I do there? I went from a 10th, I went out to a 5th separated by an octave. So this is D and G. It's a 4th in this case, chromatically, but remember that is a scalar 5th. So it's a 5th separated by an octave, and I'm going to go out to a 6th separated by an octave. So what I have was a 10th, which is a 3rd plus an octave, 5th plus an octave, and then 6th plus an octave, which makes sense, right? Because we had, that was 3rd, 5th, 6th, and then we go out to an octave, and now we get to the 10th, which is a 3rd, so it's octave, and then it goes 3rd, and then 5th, 6th, right? And then right? So all of that is just moving around in G minor 6, and you can move it in other scales. So this corresponds with the normal elevator of unison, 3rd, triad, broken chord, octave, drop 2, right? And then that's drop 3, and then we have drop 2 and 4, and then, so when I get to the drop 2, if I go, let's go from the beginning of that, unison, now I go to my 3rd. What we've been talking about thirds is dyads. And then from thirds and dyads, we go to 5th, which is, whoops, sorry, we go to triads, which is a 5th. And then after the 5th is the 6th, right? So as I go to the 6th, so, sorry, meant to do that. That is the broken chord. And then so a 6th, and then I go, from the 6th, I go out to an octave, and then, right, to the 10th. And so going from an octave, that is a octave chord, of course, and then the 10th is a drop 2, and then after the 10th, I go to a 5th, and the 5th is a drop 3, and then I get the drop 2 and 4, and that is the 6th separated by an octave, and then I get a double octave out there at the boundary. So that's kind of the way that works. And as we start to see that interconnection, I can do things like, so this is a drop 2 and 4. So I took a drop 2 and 4, and I take this voice inside the 6, and I'm moving it around. You know, moving those voices around is really pretty. You can start to fill in some, right? Fill in the voices as you see fit. But then see, I have a drop 2 here, and maybe I'll just take the middle voices of that and take my thirds. And now maybe I'll take this 6th and I'll put it inside of a chord. You see, inside of a chord. And I have choices. I could do this inside a drop 2. So here, right? So, right? So those are pretty sounds, just inside. Drop 2 that I put on top of that 10th. And this could be, that was wrong. Pretty though, that could move me to D7, but I meant to do, but if I do this, that's what I would make out of that mistake. This is D7. All of that is just kind of moving around with those options. I'm going thirds to fifths, sixths, octaves, tenths, then the fifths plus an octave, and then the sixth plus an octave. And you can do things like borrowing that are really, really pretty, and I'll talk about that in another episode. And we can do the chromatic scale with this, which is really beautiful. Right? All of that type of motion we'll talk about in another episode. But so this is just continuing this discussion and hoping to show, you know, the value of these little sounds, these dyads, and how pretty they are. Thanks for joining me, and more to come.